KGET Studios, this is Studio 17.
When children look up at the sky, they often think about the many shapes the clouds make. Whether it's big, small, fluffy, bumpy, or shaped like a dinosaur, it's like a different world up there. A special book from the land down under is taking our kids on an exciting adventure in the clouds. Joining us to talk about the release of her new book, Cloud Kingdoms, is author Maree Durnan. Welcome.
Hello, Shannon. How are you?
Good to meet with you. So can you talk to us a little bit more about your book? As I was reading through it, it really looks like a labor of love. What inspired you to write this and become an author?
Well, my mum and my son have a big part to play in it. So my mum actually took me to a planetarium when I was 4 or 5 years old, which had a huge impact on me. And then my son, 40 years later, and I were lying on a trampoline. He was 7, and we were looking up at the clouds and making shapes like we used to, which was, you know, finding the dogs and the crocodiles. And then I just came up with this story that I started telling him, and it came to life. I actually saw it just running like a movie. And so I tried writing a script, but it was very bad because I had no training. And then put it down, picked it up again a couple of times, tried writing it as a book just to get it out so I didn't actually forget it all. And then in COVID, I was able to have the opportunity to finish it.
That's wonderful, and I feel like that's something we all kind of have like a collective memory of, is sort of, you know, looking out the window when you're driving in the car and seeing all the fun shapes. And I mean, I know I always thought about like jumping on them. So can you take us through the pages, because we have some really beautiful illustrations within the book too of showing some of that fun stuff.
Thank you. Speaking of cloud hopping, actually I've got some illustrations. So there's coloured illustrations for the beginning of each chapter, and there's 2 girls, 3 boys. They land, the grandchildren land on Carnival Cloud, so they share and team up with the 2 children, Floss and CJ, and they stay there. So there's all the carnival adventures, and then there's all the things that are unique to being on the clouds, and cloud hopping is one of them. And how they get from cloud to cloud is another thing. And there's even cloud surfing. There's fairy floss blankets. There's the best dessert, which is cloud creams, which is just yummy. And then there's also bully boats, and there's pirate ships, which might stop them from getting home. So when morning sirens sound, if they don't work together, they could end up in the clouds forever.
And what are some of the most important lessons that children and parents and even educators can learn from Cloud Kingdoms?
Yes, well, there are quite a few lessons, but I've snuck them in like veggies at dinner. And it touches on caring for the environment and bullying. Then there's just speaking up for yourself and being accepting of yourself. And there's celebrating the real heroes too. So frontline workers, there's a heroes parade, which has all the firefighters and lifesavers and nurses out being celebrated. And there's links to that actually at the back of the book, which if the children want to know more about the serious or the not so serious stuff, well then there's those there. And I also ask the children to take photos and send them in so I can share them.
And that's awesome too, is having, you know, part informational and also part just fun and creative and a little bit silly sometimes.
Absolutely. There's some pretty cheeky animals. There's lots of animals up there, and I'm sure there's a broken joke booth. There's a few things to provide some laughs.
And what is your biggest wish for this book?
That as many children as possible get to experience the joy and the wonder, and that it creates some awareness around the and growth around the subject or the lessons that I do sneak in there. And of course I'd love for it to be adapted for a movie, and then of course there's the next book and what happens next.
And how can people follow along with this book and your journey? How can we reach you?
My website, which is www.cloudkingdoms with an S on the end .au, And of course, I'm on Facebook. It's available on Kindle as an ebook, and I'm hoping to have it made into an audiobook.
Great. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for coming on here and joining us and talking about Cloud Kingdoms.
Oh, my pleasure, Treasure.